So I didn't want to film this because I'm filled with shame and regret. But, okay. So, in last week's episode, I showed you that we were driving down the road and we saw a little group of ducks in the middle of the road. And I used my car to sort of steer them off the road. And then we got out of the car and we spent like 40 minutes stomping around in a wheat field trying to find these baby ducks. And we could only find 2 of them. And then the babies stopped peeping. And that was it. There was no sign of a mother anywhere nearby. There was no sign of a lake or a forest. There was just a wheat field. So, we brought these 2 ducks home and we hoped that maybe our broody duck would take them, and our broody duck would not take them. She just attacked them. So we put them in the brooder room with a heat pad and some chicken food and some water. And one of them was running around like crazy. The other one was resting a lot more, but still running around a bit and then resting a lot. And then into the second day, they still weren't eating, and the other one was still resting a lot, and she walked funny. She walked with her wings out. So I suspected she might have had an injury. They went 24 hours, and they didn't eat anything that I could tell. And they didn't poo at all that I could tell. So I was worried that they needed someone to teach them how to eat. So I tried giving them my silky chickens that are broody. And the first one had no interest whatsoever. And the second one, she was on the fence about it. She would mostly be okay with them if I stuck them under her. She was okay with it. Otherwise, she wasn't. But when he bounced around like crazy, she didn't like that very much. But I thought it might work. But then the little girl died after about 30 hours with me, maybe 36 hours with me. So today I decided to try putting the little boy out in the sunshine and on the grass. And I say little girl and little boy, we don't know what sex they are. That's just sort of how we characterize them, because the little boy was crazy and the girl was calmer. I thought maybe now that it stopped raining and it wasn't so cold out, I would put him outside and see if he responded to the grass. Maybe he wanted to eat grass or bugs or something like that, something more natural. Maybe he did not recognize the chicken food was food. And then I could also have him next to my ducks and he could see them and watch them and see what they're doing and maybe, learn something from them. And then, like an idiot, I didn't test the cage that I put him in before I brought it out. I should have taken the cage into the room and put him inside the cage in there so that I would know if the cage would hold him, because it took him about half a second to run straight out through the bars of the cage and into the woodpile. So he's been in the woodpile for 6 hours. So that's it. He's going to die. He's going to die in there. We can't find him. I can't lift the wood because it might crush him. That's it. That's the end. The duck is no more. And I don't even have a body for my children to bury, because of course they're going to want to bury it. So I feel about this big right now. I'm putting everyone to bed. I'm going to put on the electric fence. At least I did that right. Welcome to my beautiful unschool life. What are you doing? Oh, you got a raccoon, do ya? You can chase that raccoon. Get it. Get it. Go on, get it. Thank you. It's always hard to get back at it after a couple of big failures. So no sign of the baby duck. I'm going to assume he probably didn't survive the night. We're going to have to take that woodpile apart and see if we can find his body, because the girls are going to want to bury him. These broody hens, not broody anymore. The best way to break a hen of being broody is to actually let her hatch, apparently. So I'm just going to let them out, and I'm going to have to come up with a plan B I don't know what plan B will be. There's a couple of options. I do have a broody hen in the brooder room, sitting. Are you kidding me? One of the meat chickens, who are absolutely massive and shouldn't be able to fly at all, just flew over the fence. So I'm gonna have to go catch him and put him in. Okay, sorry, what was I trying to say? I could put the eggs under the one that I gave to the ducks. She is sitting fake eggs right now, so I could give her some real eggs. However, I've got 12 eggs in there, I think, and she can only sit on maybe 6. Her butt just isn't that big. So I would have to just choose the blue ones. There are also, in this coop with the ducks, there are two broody copper morans. Ooh. I could try and let them hatch out some eggs, and they have big enough butts. They could probably keep, one of them could probably keep 12 eggs incubated, but I can't put them in the brooder cage because the brooder cage is too small for them. They won't fit through the doorways. And I don't want to leave them in here because when the eggs hatch, there will be like 12-day-old baby ducks. And I don't want them having to deal with a protective duck mama because they can be pretty rough. So I would have to move them maybe into the brooder room. I don't really want anybody in the brooder room because it's an extra place that I have to go to. It's easier to have everybody in one place, but and also it sort of seems mean to have them sitting in there in the dark when there's sunshine and fresh air out here, but maybe they don't care. It seems like when I put those broody hens into this cage, they lost their broodiness, so maybe they need to be in a quiet, dark room where they can't see the sunlight. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Honey, how'd you do that? You must be pretty proud of yourself. Jumping the fence. All the girls are like, what did you do? How did you get over there? There you go. There you go, bud. It's funny. I'm pretty sure the dark ones are supposed to be roosters, but he's very small for a rooster. Okay, I'm going to try putting the copper morans in these cages and see if it works. They might be too big to fit through the doors. But sometimes chickens aren't as big as you think they are. The reason I'm not putting them under the silky is because I have 8 blue eggs here. And I would like to hatch all 8 blue eggs is what I would like to do. And a silky's not big enough to sit on 8 eggs. Alright, there you go. She fits! Alright, now she might just do what the other chickens did, which was decide she doesn't want to sit. Which is okay. If I break her of her broodiness, it means that I have a copper moran laying eggs again. So it's kind of a win-win, really. Penguin hasn't seen her in a long time, though, so he really wants to mate with her. That's going to drive him crazy. Isn't it, big guy? It's going to drive you crazy. So I made one more decision about this. I think maybe part of the reason the silkies didn't go broody is because they could see the rest of the flock and they wanted to participate. They saw me feeding them snacks and they wanted some. So I covered them with a tarp. I won't leave it there for long, maybe just for today, just to see if they go broody. And then I'll decide what to do with them by tonight. The only thing growing in my garden is borage. It's everywhere. I didn't plant a single borage seed, but there's borage everywhere. I've pulled 200 borage plants and I still have like 500 more. So the question is there such a thing as a borage farmer? Because that sounds easy. I could do that. So I lost half a day to a headache, but now Dawn and I are working on disassembling the wood pile where the duck got lost. it needed to be done anyways. It's been sort of nagging at us for 2 years, so we're making piles of stuff that's usable, stuff that has nails need to be taken out, and stuff that we can burn. So at least we're getting a job done that needed doing, but no sign of baby duck yet. You guys are just following me. You're supposed to go outside with your mama and run in the grass, but you're just following me. All right, let me check and see the situation in here. Is she? Hey, she is sitting on the nest. Hooray! And I found my trowel. She is not sitting on the nest. So we pulled up that entire pile of lumber and didn't find a baby duck. So he either ran and hid somewhere else when I wasn't looking. Look at this. He either ran and hid somewhere else when I wasn't looking, or he got eaten by a cat or some other, guys, I can't walk, or some other predator. The girls are going to be home in half an hour, and we'll get to see how upset they are. The girls are home. There have been some tears from both of them. We are planting the hazelnuts, and the chicken named Hazel will go underneath one, and the duck will go underneath the other. So it's like 8 in the morning. The girls are still in bed, and I thought I'd get some work done because it's nice and sunny. I'm out here in the tomato garden. If you recall, maybe a month ago, maybe more, I planted a whole bunch of tomatoes out here under cups. And I came out here like a week or two ago when the weather was warm, and I thought, that's it, spring's here, no more cold weather, I don't need the cups anymore. I was thinking they would protect the tomatoes from cold weather and so on and so forth. A lot of the tomatoes didn't germinate. The ones that did germinate, I can show you how big they are. They're pretty young still, not much going on. So that's one of the ones that I took the cup off. Now, I missed one. So just now, I just took the cup off, and it is a teeny bit further ahead than the ones that I took the cups off of. Not a lot, so I don't know if it's enough to prove the value of the cups. The nice thing about the cups is sometimes I plant something and then I come back weeks later and I can't remember where I planted it. And I'll usually leave like a little dent in the mulch so that you can see where I planted it. But sometimes the birds kick the mulch around, and so I'm like, I have no idea where I planted it. The one thing I like about using the cups so far is I can find where I planted them, and I know where to look for the seedlings. And the birds can't kick the mulch around and relocate my seeds. So that is one pro for the cups, but the jury's still out on whether they're worth it or not. So here's a bit about the value of putting things in larger pots. So about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, probably 2 weeks ago, I put half of my brassicas into bigger pots. So these are the ones that I put into bigger pots. You can see how big that is compared to my hand. It's like longer than my hand. But I ran out of pots, so I thought, forget it. I'll just directly sow the rest of them. So I put the tray in the garden, and then the weather went crummy, and I didn't get the chance to. And so now you can see how much smaller those ones are. Now that's not entirely just about smaller pots, because the other ones were in the greenhouse and these ones were outside. So the environment is also a factor. So I guess it's not really a proper science experiment. I'll have to try something with fewer variables next time so that I can see how much of the difference is environment and how much of the difference is the size of the pots. I've been trying to plant my bush beans for like 2 weeks now. I planted the pole beans about 2 weeks ago, and I was intending to go straight into planting bush beans as soon as I was done that, but life happened, things happened, and I haven't gotten to it. I've tried multiple times over the past 2 weeks to get in here and plant the bush beans, but you'd think that planting beans would be easy. You take a bean, stick it in the ground, the end, you're done. You label it so that you know what it is, and that's it. It's really not that complicated. It should take a couple of minutes at most, except that, well, I'm doing these little greenhouse things, so I need to make the little greenhouses. Oh, and you need to water them. Of course, you need to water the soil before you put... I water the soil before I put the beans in. And then there's weeds. So as soon as I start seeing the weeds, I start weeding, and then I kind of get carried away with that and weed a whole bunch of different rows while I'm doing it, you know? And, well, the weeds would make good food for the rabbits, so I'm off and I feed the rabbits. And then while I'm there, I notice that the rabbit cage is dirty, so I'm after Bethany to try and get her to clean the rabbit cage. And then I'm helping her clean the rabbit cage because it's hard for her to do by herself. And then I come back to the garden and I find little poppy plants that have reseeded themselves from last year. And well, I love those poppy plants. I want them all over the property. So I very carefully dig each of them out and put them in a bucket, and I carry them all over the property and transplant them elsewhere. And then finally, the next day I come back and I try again. And now I'm finding the little baby dill plants all over the garden that reseeded themselves from last year. And I love dill. I don't want to just kill those. So I'm carefully digging up the little dill plants and putting them in a bucket and planting them all over the property. And so now I think I've finally gotten to planting 2 rows of beans. 3 days. It's taken me 3 days to plant 2 rows of beans. Did it. I finally got the bush beans planted. I've done a bit of an experiment. Half of them are under cups and half of them are not, to see sort of which works out better. I'm only, 4 weeks behind. Hey! The last day of May, and it is currently 11 degrees. Let's have a look at my beautiful new thermometer. 11 degrees, which is like 50, I don't know, 53. Our last frost date was 2 weeks ago. And tonight it's supposed to go down to just above freezing. So all of my garden friends are freaking out. But luckily, I'm 3 weeks behind. No freaking out here. All of my plants are gonna be just fine. So today's mission is to organize all of this. I did pull out of the Forest Farmers Market, the one that I did last year every single week, but there is a new farmers market that is being run by a friend, and I signed up for the first 2 weeks only because I wasn't sure I'd be able to do the whole summer. Now I am sure that I won't be able to do the whole summer, but I have not pulled out of the first 2 weeks because I did grow enough plants to sell, and I did not hold my plant sale this year. So I'm going to spend 2 weeks at this farmer's market selling my extra plants. But that means that I need to spend some time figuring out what I'm keeping and what I'm selling. So it's a really big job, and I have 2, maybe 3 days to do it. So here we go.
Bridle, trained to be tamed. Nature gave a new name. Source to nurture the world. Ready, sing a new tune. Weight of it all won't get me down. Wild as a stallion set free. Within my head, sweet essence of peace. Tell me secrets, power of words. Tell me stories, legends before.
So it was kind of a difficult week this week. The duck thing really upset the girls, and it kind of followed us around all week. We took a road trip. I impulsively bought tickets to go see Annie at the Stratford Festival, and it just happened to be open night, which we didn't know until we got there and saw everybody dressed up in their fancy dresses and with the red carpet in front of the theater. So that was kind of cool. But the Stratford Festival has a river, the Avon River, running right past it, and of course there were loads of ducks and geese and babies, so that really opened old wounds. Abby's pretty angry at me for not having the foresight to test the cage before I put the duck in it, so she reminds me pretty regularly that it was my mistake. Which is okay, because it gives us a chance to talk about how everyone makes mistakes and what to do when you make a mistake. Number 1, you say you're sorry. Number 2, you try and fix it. And number 3, you try not to make the same mistake again. So, you know, it's a painful learning experience, but a lot of the time learning experiences are painful. Don, on the other hand, has been trying to comfort me. He expressed shock that the duck was able to squeeze through the bars in that cage. He agreed that he wouldn't have thought that the duck could fit through there, so that made me feel a little bit better, but not really. I got a comment on that video saying wild animals belong in the wild, and the thing is, I do agree with that. I know that anytime you take care of a wild animal, your chance of success is extraordinarily slim. And then also, once you start intervening in once you start intervening in nature, you can't stop intervening. You need to keep intervening because you've sort of broken the natural cycle. So I do agree that wild animals belong in the wild, but at the same time, these ducks 100% would have died. Mallards lay more eggs than they raise. They tend to lose the baby ducks that can't keep up, and these baby ducks obviously couldn't keep up with their mom, and they got left behind, and then that was it. They were going to feed the wildlife. So I'm not gonna feel bad about bringing them home because they didn't suffer more here than they would have in the wild. And my children got the opportunity, we all got the opportunity to see these really amazing creatures up close and learn more about them and how different they are from domesticated ducks. I think that was the thing that we all really remarked on the most, how different the wild ducks are from domesticated ducks. So it was a very good educational experience. But yeah, we knew from the beginning that there was a very slim chance that they would survive with us. So I really shouldn't beat myself up so much about it. We learned a lot. That's sort of the whole thing that I talk about with unschooling. It's all about learning things the hard way. And well, we learned this one the hard way. So I guess that's it for this week. Hopefully the next time we talk, it will be spring. Since the first day of summer is only 3 weeks away, it would be really cool if spring would show up. Take care. Have a good one. It's always a pleasure having you here, and I'll see you next time.
I was sleeping with the light on dim. The dark feels heavier without you in. And every chord I strike cries your name. Won't you come back home again?
As an aside, I thought I'd ask the hive mind. Does anybody know what is eating this maple tree? The leaves all over the whole tree look like this.